Since we are live, all the way live, I'm gonna go ahead and do a little freestyle. So for folks that who may or may not know me, my name is Michael Gibbons, and I am the host for the Black Office Unlocked podcast, and I'm happy to have this a live prompt with the co-host here, Dave here with Dave's Head podcast. So just a little bit about me. I am from California, but reside in the DMV area. And my podcast is really all about providing tips, tools, and strategies for federal government employees in order for them to elevate and navigate in their federal careers. Right. So I like to say that my podcast is where culture meets career advice for feds. So I love to mix in metaphors, analogies, and then anything that can spark motivation, mentorship, and the right mindset for folks in our field. So with that said, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Dave. Dave, can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. How's it going?
Perfect. Going well, man. Going well. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it happen, nice. One way or the other.
We're gonna make it happen. We've been struggle busting it, but we're gonna make it happen.
yeah, absolutely.
But
all right, so I just gave a little intro to myself. Yes, please. I just gave a little intro to myself, so please jump in and give a little intro to who you are, what you do in your podcast.
Absolutely. So full name's David Euwings. I am Dave by many who know me, host of Dave's Head podcast. I'm in my 6th season. Started my podcast during COVID. My podcast talks about anything and everything, especially the thoughts that are in my head. We've had guests from the U.S. and around the world. We have listeners in the U.S. and around the world. So shout out to all my headers that might be tuning into this live prompt live video with the Live Podcast Network, and shout out to Live Podcast Network. I am a native of South Philadelphia, born and raised. Shout out to South Philly. Although I do not live in Philly anymore, I live a little further south in the state of Delaware. So I've been doing this for a long time, even before podcasting. Did some radio broadcasting back in college. Not afraid of a mic, so looking forward to getting into it today.
Nice. And I go by Mike, so you can't be afraid of me either, right? So you got a mic, you got another mic with you. We're going to make it happen, Dave.
Absolutely.
Make it happen. Yeah. So that was a great intro. And so I say let's just go ahead and jump into it, right? So for today's prompt, right? Let's speak to that, right? For me, I think the prompt was let me be specific, right? I think the prompt. Let me pull it up. I don't know if you have it open with you, but let me.
I got it for you.
Yeah, please.
What are we doing to impact our next 20 years?
Yes. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and jump in, and then I'll pass the mic back over to you. So, I think for me, when I think about, what are we going to do? What are we going to do to now to impact our next 20 years, right? I think about, for me, I think the one word that comes to mind is legacy, right? So, thinking about what are the things that I'm going to be doing now that's going to have ripple effects in the future, and a big reason why I started the podcast was just for that, right? In my spare time, I find time to provide mentorship to folks in the federal government space, and really anywhere that I'm at, because I'm a big lover of people. So in that thought, right, I want to make sure that my legacy is left with making sure I leave a positive impact on people. Relationships is a huge thing for me, and like I said, I'm a big lover of people, and I'm all about intention. So for me, it's one of the reasons why I started the podcast is I wanted to be able to amplify some of the things that I was already doing, but to do it on a bigger level. And to provide that support and that community for more than just the immediate people that I was speaking to. I had kind of this thought, this vision for years actually that I wanted to be able to do something, and I kind of sat on my hands, right? Not kind of, took my time, but it came to a point where I was actually on a travel trip, and I was at a friend's house, had some spare time, and I was just pondering and thinking, and I realized it's like I spent at that time I had spent maybe 5 years thinking about what I wanted to do, and I think I allowed perfection to be in the middle of progress. Right?
Yeah.
Right. So I just said, you know what, screw that. I'm gonna just start imperfect, and I started off writing blogs on LinkedIn, and so for folks who are listening in, please find me on LinkedIn. Michael Gibbons, Michael Landon Gibbons on LinkedIn, and I have a newsletter that I put out every week, and it's also called the Black Office Unlocked as well. So I started doing that, and from that I really started getting some momentum and really confidence in me, saying I really started to eliminate some of the excuses I was giving myself, right, Dave, in saying that, hey, I can't do this. It needs to be right. It needs to be perfect. But I was actually putting things out, and lo and behold, started getting a lot of feedback, and I really found out that I'm really providing that impact that I always wanted to do. So from that, I said, well, what can I do now? So I figured, well, if I can do this for a blog, there's no reason why I can't do it for a podcast, right?
Absolutely.
So that's when it was really all born for me.
Gotcha.
What you got, man?
But before I get into my answer, you said your LinkedIn is Michael Landon Gibbons.
Yeah.
So popped in my head. Shout out to the late great Michael Landon. I don't know if you ever grew up on the show Highway to Heaven. That was one of my favorite shows growing up. So that just popped in my head, kind of in the scene of my podcast, but's in my head. But good.
Oh, okay. Well, quick thing before you jump in, that was my dad's favorite show. So that's essentially who I was actually named after.
No, wow, small world.
Yeah.
But so to my answer, what pops into my head, and on the same lines of legacy, but more so in security, I think about the state that we're in now in this country, and even in this world, but more so in this country, and thinking about the next 20 years with my family and my finances. That's where my focus tends to be. Currently single by marriage, but in a relationship that's going to lead to marriage. Make no mistake about that.
Right.
And a family down the line, so my family is going to extend. And so my thoughts turn to the next 20 years of that family extending, and thinking about just the chaos and everything that's going on in this country right now. And I think before we get to the next 20 years, we got to, take stock in what's actually going on right now. We got to admit the problem that we're dealing with in order to think about how we're going to plan for the future. And 100%. Thinking about this earlier today, one of the things that crossed my mind is that I may not be in this country 20 years from now, by choice, hopefully.
Right.
And my family.
Let's take the hopefully out. That's what we're gonna do.
Take the hopefully out. We're not gonna put that into
Yeah.
But thinking about my soon-to-be extended family and my finances and how they relate, the next 20 years, assuming children come into the mix in the next year or two, I've got 18, 19, 20-year-old ready to go to college. You got to be financially set up to make sure they're good if they're not scholarshiped out. And by scholarshiped out, I mean maxed out on scholarships. I ain't got to worry about paying for nothing ever.
Right.
That's the plan, by the way.
I like that.
But also thinking about retirement. I'm 50 in a couple of years. But
you can't tell.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But, retirement, or at least the desire not to be working and just enjoying the rest of the life that I have, is forefront in my mind. And so thinking about the state of this world, my family and finances, and looking at those three things together, my focus is solely on those two things, making sure my family is safe and secure, making sure my finances are safe and secure, so we can do whatever we want, depending on whatever happens with our current state. But that's where I think about with the next 20 years. I mean, it's not so much about me, it's about my family, right? I'm going to be the relic in the room at some point in the near future, right? I do have a innate fear of being the creepy dad at my daughter's prom, so I'm trying to avoid that whole thing. But in all seriousness, looking at where we are in the state of this country, making sure the family and finances are secure to handle whatever is going on in this country. That's my focus for the next 20 years.
Yeah, I love it, man. Family, finances. I'm a big fan of alliteration, so I mean, you got the two apps right there, and that's key. I mean, for me, yeah, I'm married myself. I have two beautiful kids, and they're relatively young, 8 and 12.
Okay.
So, I think about, to your point, right, where where we're at, and just the the level. So I don't even want to say chaos, right? It's the level of unpredictableness, if that's even a word, right?
There's going to be a word today.
Yeah, yeah, and then just understanding like how trying to put myself in their shoes, and this is now like the new normal for them, right?
Yeah.
So for me, and also when I talk about legacy, they come straight to mind, right? And really trying to build that foundation. So we're gonna throw that F in there too, family, finances, foundation, because I think without having that foundation, we're laying bricks, brick by brick, right?
Yeah.
Every decision we make, and we talk about in 20 years that $1 or $5 that you put in the stock market, you let it sit, it's just going to stack and stack and stack. So I also think of it in that way too, right? In terms of legacy, building a foundation, and then just making sure that you have everything set up for your family from a financial perspective too, because absolutely right. Think about 20 years from now, it's like I had 20 to where I'm at right now, then we about I should be retired by then. I ain't gonna put the shit out. I will be retired by then, right? And I also think about like what does that look like, right? From a family perspective, what does that look like for my kids, school wise, college wise, and then thinking about just the technology too, Dave. It's like so collectively between my wife and I, and this is no brag, right? But this is just to set the context. We have two masters, a bachelor's. Two bachelors, two masters, and a PhD, right? So we colleged out.
Y'all rocking and rolling.
But I say that to say, from that perspective, I also think of it like our kids are growing up in a situation now where it's like, is college going to be like that first go-to? I mean, there's so much that they can do and learn that may not necessarily require that college degree now.
Absolutely.
Right? It's just so much things are changing. So I try to put that in the calculus too.
Yeah, I mean, my story, well, not to humble brag, but we got two bachelors and a master's, and the master's ain't me. So we in this household.
Yeah,
but,
I love it.
But so my story is one of, I went to college. I was on a 3-2 program to get a bachelor's and a master's in computer engineering. I changed my major about 4 times while I was in college. Wound up leaving after 3 years because I got a job offer that made sense for somebody who's turning 20 and making 6 figures. Company went under about 2 years later, and from there I worked my way up, and to the point where when I got my bachelor's and graduated in 2006, I didn't need it anymore. I just wanted it. But to that point, and to the point that you're making about whether college is going to be necessary, we've got young adults and teens right now designing applications and websites in AI in an hour, right? And this is 2025, 2035, it might just be something they think about that just happens just like that. We talk about flying cars and Jetsons. If you go back and into the day, thinking that was, some crazy notion. We got, self-driving cars right now. We got flying vehicles as well. They're not prevalent because they're not exactly safe right now. But the way technology advances, and I've been in IT since 1999, it used to be that technology changed every 2 years. Then it became technology changing every 1 year. Then it was 6 months. And now we're probably in a realm where we're like every quarter, something new's coming out, something advanced is coming out that changes how we do things. Every day I see advertisements for AI, whether it's AI agents, AI email this, AI that, and that's the future. That's just the way it's going. And you think about the hands-on stuff, the hard-working plumbers and electricians, those things aren't going anywhere. They may become the golden or platinum jobs that are, the select few have that skill going forward because everybody will be doing technology. And so to your point, it may be a trade school or a 2-year trade school or a 2-year program or something like that that gets our youth coming forward further than it took us to get 4 years or 6 years or 8 years or whatever today. Real quick thing that I think about every once in a while, thinking about the future and the youth and next generation, our big like stressful thing growing up, and I'm a child of the born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s and 90s. Our big thing was a Challenger disaster, a blizzard here or there, that type of stuff, an earthquake here or there.
Right.
This generation's lived through tornadoes, hurricanes, 9/11, wars upon wars upon wars, the polarizing way that it is in DC right now. Their stress level compared to what we went to, if you just look back and think about it, they're going through something every single day, especially with technology, social media, 24/7 news cycles, all that stuff. And so just fast forward 20 years and think about what they'll be getting probably on their wrist or something like that every single second, every single day. So just putting that perspective, it probably is only going to get harder for them going forward to be successful, especially with the population exploding the way it is. So,
right. No, absolutely. And that's a good point. The level of anxiety that, the kids are growing up with. And I mean, and we didn't even talk about the gun control. And it's just it's so many
I forgot school shootings. Yeah.
It's amazing the amount of things that you have to now worry about, and even from a cyber perspective as well, right? It's just a lot. So I hear you, man, and I guess from like I think one of the other things that I think about in terms of like thinking about how can we capitalize and optimize in the next 20 years. And then also kind of dovetail that in some of the things that are important to me. I talked about relationships, right? With social media, I mean, we're getting less social with social media, right? So I think there's definitely going to be a point where people will value, real life, in-person discussions over a Twitter battle back and forth, or just a lot of the virtual stuff when it's possible, right? Because sometimes you don't necessarily get that personal touch all the time. And for me, one of the things that's important to me is like when I'm reaching out to people, especially through LinkedIn, for example. Well, LinkedIn, actually, I think all of these social medias, they have the function where you can actually do a memo recording, right? So I think it's important to, for me, from a personal touch perspective, and thinking about what's going to be really, really important moving forward in the future is having that personal touch. And that's one of the things I try to do when I'm reaching out to folks and connecting. So it goes beyond just the digital text that you see. You can actually hear a voice behind the words as well.
Yeah, one of the things I do every once in a while, and admittedly I haven't done as much in the last year or so, probably two, different shifting priorities is speaking to youth. And one of the things I always tell them is about connections. And a lot of the connections I have in my life outside of college, outside of employment, are through networking events and word of mouth for my business that I do as well. But getting that tactile contact with people, I think, is going to be important even 20 years from now. There's still going to be in-person events. We're not going to be sitting there in front of screens, I hope, all day.
Right.
And getting in, talking to people in rooms that you don't think you belong in, or rooms that you should belong in.
Right.
It's President Obama who said that you get in some of these rooms with these people and you have these expectations, and then you talk to them and realize they're no better than you.
Right.
But those people can open doors that you can't. So it's good to get in those rooms.
Yeah, because he said they may have gotten exposure. That gave him some confidence to be able to be in those rooms. But yeah, I completely that clip resonates with me as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say, I think as far as the future goes, when it comes to think about employment and how our future youth, your two children are going to make money, my future children are going to make money and take care of their family and so on and so forth. I still say science and technology isn't going anywhere. It's the constant, whether it's demonized or scrutinized, science and technology create everything, and it created this live feed right now. And so if we can stay engaged with that, math, science, technology, STEM, and STEAM areas and focus, that's the way we can make sure that, one, we're valuable and can get gainful employment, but also we can do successful and do amazing things, right? And, steering our children in that direction. And absolutely, the hands-on, the plumbing, the electrician stuff, if that's what you got, that's what you got. If you're artistic, go that way. There's many ways to make money, but the blue-collar work, the white-collar work as far as STEM and STEAM, those things are going to be there for generations.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Dave. I completely agree. And you talk about STEM, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if we go back, maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, maybe that's when it was like a thing that was starting to really, the whole idea of it really start to bubble up. Mm-hmm. Although you can make an argument that we were already always doing it, right? Yeah. But more of a dedicated focus. What would you say, right, would be the next quote unquote STEM, right? And mm-hmm. I'm gonna go ahead and preempt it and throw out and just throw out AI, right? So mm-hmm. I'd be curious to hear from you. What are some of the ways that you're utilizing artificial intelligence in some of your everyday life, for example, through your podcast, perhaps, and then just like when we think about in the future, what does that actually look like, right? Because I could just imagine it's the technology. You mentioned it earlier. The technology doubles like every 9 months or so. Yeah. So when we talk about 20 years from now, I can't even imagine what some of that stuff will really look like. But I don't know. I'd like to hear from you from that AI perspective, and I'll give you some of my thoughts as well.
Yeah. So my initial answer would be a lot of what the future is going to entail is already here. Robotics, AI. You think about cars that have personalities, computers that have personalities. You think of Iron Man, that type of stuff. A lot of that stuff's already here. It's just like anything has to go through a testing cycle, get improved and refined and learn and all that stuff. That's where the future is. If you could do robotics, AI, AI at this point is just everywhere. So if you have that ability, that's something. But I also would lean towards aviation. And so whether it's flying cars, whether it's trips to the moon, you got Elon and their Virgin Airlines guy, I can't remember his name right now, who were doing these trips, these $250,000 trips. I'm not paying $250,000, by the way, to go see the tip
hey,
of
if you
the
got,
Earth.
hey, they said it ain't tricking if you got it.
Yeah, right. But the next step is obviously what? Space exploration, moon exploration, right. Mars, that type of stuff. That's probably the next thing, because man is notorious for trying to see what their limits are, right. And trying to new shiny thing, new space. I'm a big Star Trek fan, so yeah, sign me up to do the space exploration thing. But that's really where it's at. And as far as how I use AI, content generation, graphic generation, programmatic scheduling as far as guests, that type of stuff. I use it in so many different ways, and I'm a bit of a wordsmith. I'd have no problem speaking, but sometimes I don't feel like thinking about words, and I just say, create this for me. I'll refine and refine and refine. Yeah. And the one thing I enjoy about AI, good or bad, depending on how you look at it, is that my use of AI refines how AI responds to me, how it writes for me, how it designs for me, that type of stuff. And so I use it sometimes just to kind of hone or refine that algorithm or profile for me. And sometimes I use it because I actually want to get some suggestions. I just got a writer's block. But I use it for as many things as I can because it can create things in ways that you don't understand. I sat up this morning in bed just working on something, and I refined it, and it was something I worked on 2 weeks ago, and I came back to that particular session and said, I was thinking about this 2 weeks ago, but I'm thinking about this now, so compare what I'm thinking about and what I just wrote right now, and it spit out something else. I'm like, I love that, but do this. Yeah. And I just kept going until I got something, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to stop and come back because it's not done yet. Writing a book. If you follow me, if any of my listeners or watchers are following me or listening to this right now, I've talked about writing a book for probably 2 seasons. I haven't gotten around to page 1 of 1 yet. But AI can write an entire book for you. Yeah. And so I've been thinking a lot lately about just giving it my bullet points, having it create, and just refining. Nope, that totally didn't happen. But I like the way you're writing. So yeah, that's how. I use AI all over the place. So a pretty short answer, a long answer for a short answer.
Yeah, no, I love the answer because I'm trying to get more and more into it, and I find the more that I learn, the more I realize I don't know,
Hmm.
and the rabbit hole just gets that much deeper. Um, One of the things for me at my job where I work for the federal government. I want to try to gain a better understanding of like how we're posturing ourselves to
Hmm.
utilize the technology, and we're starting to pick up steam and have cohorts here and there. So I signed for me. I actually signed up to kind of be a part of an AI team within our department
Okay.
because I didn't see that happening. So just in that, it's extra duty on the side, but just in that, I find that it's a lot of people doing a lot of different stuff in spaces I didn't realize they were doing, but they're just not necessarily shining the full light on it. So I agree with you. I think AI is definitely the future. I mean, the future is here. I think folks that aren't utilizing it, learning it, uh, and figuring out its limitations are going to be left behind a bit, in my estimation. So the more that we learn about it is going to be key, because to me it's like the new internet, right? When Google just first came out,
Hmm.
or the internet, let's just say, it was just like, oh wow, I could put something in there and it'll give me an answer. But I find it to what I find the most fascinating about it is just that point you said. You put a prompt to ask something, and it gives you an answer, and you refine it and come
Hmm.
back, refine it again. And it's like that fourth or fifth iteration of like, wow, this is this is closer to exactly what I had in my brain,
Yeah.
but didn't have the fortitude to be able to kind of write it out, right? So for me, that it's a game changer. I love the idea for me personally. I also use it for content generation. I'm
Hmm.
trying to get better with some of the image generation, because there's a lot of stuff you can do there. And now they got all
Yeah.
the video stuff too, which is kind of wild. So I want to. For me, I just really want to learn. I love the idea of being able to throw out a concept and allow me to think about it from different perspectives,
Hmm.
right? And especially however you're able to prompt it, it'll allow you to sit in a room with consultants that you prompt it to be, or whatever the case is, and have a sort of a internal debate, if you will. And it's for me, it's like that's how I naturally like to learn. Like if you just sit in a room with a whole bunch of OGs and they're putting game
Just
and then it's telling you
sponge
this
it
how
up.
it goes. This, yeah, it's like, oh, okay. So and you're able to learn in so much faster because me growing up is either you gonna learn from what I tell you, or you're gonna learn in the streets. Like
Hmm.
one way or the other, you're gonna learn. So I'd
Yeah.
rather learn from other people's mistakes, or just the discussions and conversations that I have from the people that been before me, right? And I think that's the key thing for me that AI is able to do, really speed up that learning curve, and also allow you to pontificate on different angles, from different perspectives that you wouldn't normally put yourself in.
Hmm.
So I definitely, from a future perspective, 20 years out, I think that's key.
Yeah. Actually, I want to fire a question at you if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
So, thinking 20 years ahead, but also reflecting on 20 years back, what would you say your biggest lesson from the prior last 20 years would be that you can use to be successful or use in any kind of way positively
Yeah.
going into the next 20 years?
Wow, that's a loaded question, Dave. Dang,
That's what
you
I
gonna
do,
hit me
man.
with the deep question, man. That's no, you know what? I no, that's an excellent question, and I appreciate the question because it's really going to force me to think,
Hmm.
ponder, and get a little vulnerable. Um, if I were to answer that question honestly, I probably can go different angles, but the one that comes to mind is, if going back 20 years, and some of the lessons that I've learned, I would say ego. right? So when I would think of the word ego, I used to think of it in a way of being prideful in a way where you think that you're almighty or something to that extent, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've learned it. I've relearned the word to in a way of another way of what the definition of it is, and that for me is, being prideful and being too prideful to the point where it could be a detriment to yourself, for example. So and I'll give a quick example. I'll tell you what it is, and then I'll give an example. And what that is just the art of asking for help, right? Asking for help. So for me, like growing up, it's like I come from a situation where if I can't figure it out, then it's probably not for me. Or if I can't get it, then it's not for me, right? But that's not how life is really meant to be, and that's not how, in my perspective, from a personal perspective, that's not how life's supposed to be, and also from a career perspective, you need people around you. You need to have a circle of people to support you, and you need to be a part of other people's circles as well. No one can go out in this life alone. Like one of the things that I say, and I said in some of my episodes, it's like, hey, this, and it also applies from a personal perspective as well, is that your career is not a solo sport, right? So if you want to play a solo sport, go play golf, right? But from a career perspective, and also from a career perspective, it's you can't. It's not that, right? You need help, and don't be afraid to ask for help, right? So for me, the example that I had is that I almost put myself in a position where I could have made a career choice that was not for the betterment for myself or my family, solely because of my ego, because I didn't want to ask for help, right? When I was in a situation where I moved from California and I moved all the way to the DC area and trying to solidify a job. We talked about those 3 F's, right, Dave?
Yeah.
Finances, right? So making sure I had the finances right, and securing and making sure my job was straight was a big issue and concern. And it came to a point where I had to ask for help. And I had to check myself because it was like either you do it now or that's it. I got to a point where I ran out of time, and I had to. Luckily, I had a really great mentor, which is why I'm also really big on mentorship. I made a phone call, and I talked to one of my mentors, and of course, he just made it simple. Like, well, did you call such and such? I said, yeah, I've talked to them, and they, they just made it seem like nothing could be done. I think you should call them again. No, but Mike, I think you should call them again, and that's where that ego start coming into play. Well, like you know what? This situation is bigger than just me, Michael Gibbons, right? We're talking about for my family, my situation. And this decision, when we talk about legacy, can have trickle effects down to how it's going to affect my kids, my family, and legacy, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's really being able to check my ego, being able to ask for help, and then also really having that circle around you to be able to check you and hold you accountable. So I appreciate the question, Dave.
No, it's funny you that's your answer. So I asked the question without thinking about my own answer, but as you spoke, I realized my answer is very similar. We just came out, I believe, 2 days ago, end of June, Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, every year. So support men out there, by the way, PSA for you. It's okay to not be okay is the way it goes.
Yeah.
But on that same notion, pride, I think, would be the word that I would use for my lesson from the last 20 years. And pride, being able to handle anything and everything, or the perception or belief that I can handle anything and everything, despite how strong and solid my circle is. It's probably my biggest lesson and biggest regret, if you will. And I don't really do regrets, but if I had one, that would be it. from the last 20 years because my pride and belief in my abilities to handle anything and everything almost cost me my career, everything that I built. I won't get into specifics, but it was a situation that I allowed to continue, and it continued to a point that it bubbled up into just anything and everything you think that could be wrong in a man's life or happen to a man happened to me in a very short period of time. And it was because my circle was already established. Number one, a lot of them said, why didn't you tell us this was going on? But number two, their second thing was, okay, what can we do now? And so because I had that circle, it got me through that situation and got me back to the prosperous life, if you will, that I have right now. It's not really prosperous, people. But pride is a great thing to have. It's a great resource to channel to do very, very good things in your life and for other people. It can also be a huge Achilles heel, a huge, big ball and chain attached to your leg, keeping you from doing even better things because you constantly believe no matter what's happening, you have an answer, whether it's the right answer or wrong answer. And that's where I'd say my biggest lesson that when I have children, I want to pass on. It's one, the saying for Mental Health Awareness Month, it's okay to not be okay. But the other side of that, once you're not okay and you understand you're not okay, to your point, being able to reach out to your circle and say, hey, I'm not okay. I need your support. I need to lean on you. So that would be my thoughts for the last 20 years.
Yeah, no, I like that. And it reminds me of a conversation that I had with my wife and then some good friends of mine who are black women. And the thought was, they, from my perspective, they tend to carry a lot on their shoulders. And because of that, from my perspective, right, and for some of the situations that I've seen, either at work or just and personal, because they're able to carry such a large burden, it becomes like almost normal, and it becomes second nature, right? So an example, there was a work related incident where a woman got hurt a bit, right? But it was to a point where it was like, hey, maybe you should sit down. Actually, you have a cut. Let's get a Band-Aid. Maybe, and they got to a point where it was like, this is actually a bigger situation than we originally thought, or how she was making it seem. Because she was like, man, I'll just go back to work. No, don't call anyone. And it got to a point where it was like, no, you got to take care of yourself, and you got to allow other people to take care of you too. And in this situation, I don't think you should be at work, right? I think you should probably figure out a way to relax and then go take care of yourself so that there's no issues. But it was just interesting because after that situation was worked out, I had a conversation with the coworkers that I was dealing with that was also privy to that situation, and I explained the same situation to them, and they were like, "Yeah, that's true. We hold a lot of burden, and because of that, we tend to do it, and to the point where it's like you don't necessarily need to do that all the time, right? So I resonate with that as well, Dave.
Well, yeah, it's the old adage or instructions on the airplane. In the event of emergency, make sure you put your mask on first before you try to help other people. Well, you can't put your own mask on if you physically can't put your own mask on. So it's one of those things where sometimes you got to be selfish, which, I don't know what sign you're. I'm a Capricorn. We tend not to be that selfish. It's hard for me sometimes to be selfish. But when it comes to physical health, emotional health, mental health, sometimes you got to be selfish. And sometimes you got to set priorities in place to make sure you're good first before you can make sure even your family's good, make sure your friends are good. And that's what it comes down to.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. My sign, I'm a Gemini, so I got a twin, one that's good, and I have an other side that's even better. Right?
My sister's a twin for a Gemini.
Oh, yeah? Nice. No, I resonate with that, man. Absolutely. Hey, so Dad, it looks like we're getting close to time, man. But I'm interested because I had a chance to check out a few of your your podcast, and I love the way that you, well, at least for the ones that I heard, that how you introduce the whole, how you introduce and talk about what's in your head, and then you kind of go into the segue into the actual guest speaker and interview and whatnot. So before we kind of close up, man, I know I'd be interested to hear, like, what are, you know, some of the things that's in your head as we talk about this prompt and just you in general.
Yeah, what it comes back to for me is the reason why I started my podcast, which is, you know, to inform and get factual information out there, or have guests on that can provide a word or a thought or experience that they can share that just helps somebody. It's not about numbers, not about helping 10,000 or 10 million people. It's about, to me, just helping that one person. And that's where the genesis of my podcast came from, because COVID, when, you know, I started my podcast, misinformation, disinformation, people taking advantage of, people just afraid, not knowing what to do. And my first couple episodes dealt with financial planning, dealt with law enforcement, dealt with just wings, eating wings as well. But, you know, we have serious topics and not so serious topics. And by the way, the drums versus flat thing, team drums, just put that out there.
Well, don't talk to my wife, because we did a wing stop and she get all flats and they want to charge us an extra like $10 for that.
Just sad. But, you know, as we go forward, and especially, one of the first things I said was, you know, recognizing the problem, if you will, in this country, the current climate. My guests are going to be talking about that. I'm looking forward to, and I take a break every August. I take every break in December and January. Birthday month is a Capricorn thing. But I'm looking forward to talking with a former politician coming up later this season. And we're going to talk about a lot of stuff that's going on in D.C. A former military person who's coming on later this season. And we're going to talk about the Iraq and Iran stuff that's going on, and Israel and that type of stuff. We talk about serious topics. And then we talk about real life stuff, like my last guest. We talked about before we went live how she dialed in, if you will. I'm still old school, call it dial in. But she called in from Malaysia. You know, that's where she was when we did the interview. And so, like I said, guests from all over the world, listeners from all over the world, and there's topics that address things that are happening all over the world. And my main focus is to inform, educate, inspire, all the above, one of those three. So if you can check it out, Dave's Head Card with 2 R's. .co, on social media at Dave's Head Pod. Check me out, Dave's Head Podcast. Love to have you as a header, as I call them, or as they call themselves too. So awesome. And take a moment to talk about your podcast too. I mean, you spread a wealth of information and knowledge around, you know, based on your background and the things you're dealing with and experiencing professionally. So talk about the things you do in your podcast.
Yeah, so my podcast it's a solo podcast. Soon we're gonna transition to actually bring guests in to get some more of their perspective as well. So for me, some of the things that's on my mind is, and Mike said, is trying to figure out ways to make people feel more at ease. Right? There's a lot of uncertainty within the federal government space. As you can see, you probably saw like a lot of the rifts and a lot of change in policies and stuff like that. And for my podcast, I stay away from the going deep into political, right? But I do speak to what's going on because I want to make sure people are informed. I keep any of my opinions sort of out of that for the podcast, but really try to stay informative. Provide context to a lot of the situations, and just really provide value for folks. And some of the things that I'm looking forward to doing is to be of more value to my community in ways where I can create more practical, tangible products to support some of their elevation and navigation just in the career space. I'm big on mentorship. So a lot of the stuff that I speak to, like a lot on LinkedIn, Instagram, is really figuring out ways to connect with mentors. Because as I mentioned before, this can't be a solo sport. We have to have a team, and we have to build that team. And whether that's like you're building your own professional board of directors, which is that team that's going to help you, make those good decisions per your career. And then also just figuring out ways how to sustain keeping a mentor. And in addition to that, just figuring out ways where you can also navigate through your career as well. A lot of people are not necessarily looking to elevate and promote, but we do need to have like a sounding board to figure out how to like navigate as well. And there's murky waters out there, Dave. So, so I want to be that voice to kind of help people in that perspective. I try to have some fun though as well, right? So I can't do it if I'm not adding a little splash of culture to what I do, whether that's providing a metaphor about Allen Iverson and comparing Allen Iverson to AI in terms of the tech, so AI versus AI type situation, or if I'm talking about Coco Gauff or whoever it may be, right? I think it's important for me to do that because I like to relate back to my people, and it makes that cultural connection for me. And there's so many things that we do from a cultural perspective that connects to how we can better elevate and navigate both personally and professionally. It's a wealth. So that's sort of my angle. So I'm at Black Office Unlocked podcast. So I'm a live podcast network, and definitely look out for that as well.
Gotcha. And I hate that I'm going to do this because I know we're wrapping up in a little bit, but 3 things popped in my mind. If you know me, follow me a little bit, you know I do 3 things sometimes. So first thing is, it's interesting you brought up AI because literally about half an hour before we went live on the live podcast network, I watched the AI practice press conference. I don't know why. I just decided to watch it.
AI practice? What you mean?
Yeah, so when he says practice, we're talking about practice, not the game, not the game.
Yeah, got you. Yeah.
That press
practice.
Conference.
We talking about practice?
Exactly, yeah. I don't know why. It just something popped in my head and I started watching. That's what happens.
It's funny.
Second thing, and I actually forgot the second thing, so I'll go to the third thing. So, and I'll give this little nugget because mentorship always triggers me because I always say I would not be who I am today without the mentors I had back in high school. Yeah. One of them rests peacefully. My first mentor passed away a couple years ago at the ripe young age of 98, almost made it to 100. So hopefully she's resting peacefully. But when I speak to youth or when I talk to my mentees, one of my sayings is life is short, decisions are long. Decisions you make today impact every tomorrow for the rest of your life. So it's important to make good decisions in your life. So anybody listening, go ahead, take that nugget. It's not trademarked. Use it, please.
I like that. I might take that.
The power of mentors. These are people a lot of times who contribute their time, talent, treasure, all for free, with many times not knowing you from a can of paint, but investing in you, caring about you, even loving you, and investing in your future just because they may have had somebody do that for them. And that's the cycle of mentorship that I love, and I want to get back to doing a little more. Admittedly, I want to do a little more of it. But just mentoring always triggers me because, there's not enough of them out there. And a lot of times mentors aren't appreciated enough. I'm not saying that's my experience, but I see some people who do mentor and their mentees just don't, realize what they have. And so for mentees out there, if somebody wants to invest in you, whether it's time, talent, or treasure, don't take it for granted. Don't just take it. Try to give back to somebody who may need it in the future.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. And one of the things that I speak to about mentorship is the reciprocity, right? There's you said your time, talent, and treasures, some of the things that you're getting from your mentor. But as a mentee, I think it's also really important to figure out ways where you can also give back as well, whether it's supporting different events that they may have, figuring out ways to support some of their other mentees as well, or whatever that may be, right? I think it's really important to give back and then also stay in communication. A lot of times, mentees, we take it as a one-way street, but it's really, this street is 2 ways, right? You got to keep the communication going back and forth, and sometimes you got to lead that, right? And that's okay. But those are the 2 things that come to mind when you say that as well. And I'm a big believer in mentorship because of just me being a lover of people, and I know the power of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and that's the thing, the power of it, right? So I realized the second thing while you were talking. So real quick, you mentioned about culture and making sure you inject culture into your podcast.
Yeah.
And what popped in my head
Yeah.
was constant culture.
Yeah.
I mean, you see the shirt that I'm rocking right now. If you remember what happened in this government chambers down south a couple of years ago, my TO, my girlfriend, probably is surprised I didn't wear my Teddy Pendergrass shirt. But I got a whole shirt with it. The smoke's all around them. That's my shirt.
Yeah.
But yeah, constant culture in your face, unapologetically.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Yeah, I loved it, man. So absolutely. Hey, Dave, man, this was awesome. We might have to run this back. I don't know.
We might have to. We're gonna talk to the powers that be and the people who know people, and see if we can do this again.
And by then, I'm gonna be straight wizard on Riverside. So we're gonna be good with it. Yeah.
Yeah, the struggle bus, the squeaky wheel, we oiled it a little bit. We got this thing started and got it rolling. So we all good.
Yeah, we got it rolling all the way. Absolutely.
Yes, this was absolutely fun, brother. I appreciate you, not only for hosting this, but getting to know you a little bit as well. So
yeah,
definitely let's run it back if we can.
Yeah, man, absolutely, and appreciate it, man. And everyone, definitely check out Dave's Head podcast. Check out Black Office Unlocked podcast, and we'll catch you on the next one.
And check out Live Podcast Network. Shout out to them.
Peace. Yes, sir. Peace.